Primos Hunting. Stream the language.
Hey folks, Ruiz here from Primos. You know, it's sad to say, but there's a lot of people in this world that don't really know where meat comes from. I honestly believe that there's kids in this world today that think fish are square. With all due respect to the wild turkey, I've seen a lot of people just breast them out after they kill them. But the wild turkey itself has a lot of incredible fare when it comes to the types of meat. You got white meat, you got dark meat, you got legs and thighs, just like a chicken and just like the turkey you buy at the store. But what a lot of people don't like to do is spend the time to pluck a turkey. They think because he's so big that it's going to take an extreme amount of time and effort to pluck a wild turkey, when it really don't. I'm going to give you some short, quick tips to where it'll get you the opportunity to pluck a wild turkey in a matter of about 15 to 30 minutes, depending on how quick you can boil water. All right, there's some key ingredients that you're gonna need to be able to make this happen. First and foremost, you're gonna need a wild turkey. If you're a big hunter out there or somebody's a hunter that you know and they bring you a wild turkey, tell them to bring you the turkey whole, especially if you want to pluck the turkey and use it to fry it, bake it, or however you do a turkey. You're gonna need at least a 20-quart pot to be able to boil some water in. Big enough. If you don't have a big pot, that's okay. Get you a couple of small pots and you can do 2 or 3 pots of water at the time. But what you want to do is you want to get your turkey and lay him on a table or hang him up like we do. Sometimes we hang him up. A friend of mine here where we're staying today has some chicken hangers that came from a chicken plant. You hang your turkey up. Here's what I like to do. Now this is just me, but sometimes we can't do this. If you kill a turkey and you know that you're going to be cleaning that turkey within 30 minutes to maybe an hour to an hour and a half before you're going to clean him, you don't have to gut him. But if it's going to be a long time before you get home or you have to travel home or you're even out of state turkey hunting, if you're a non-resident turkey hunter that travels and hunts, go ahead and draw the turkey. Pull the guts out of him and put him in an ice chest. What I like to do is put him in a big garbage bag, set him in an ice chest and cover him with ice. Either way works, but I prefer not to gut him, because when you pour the hot water on the turkey, you don't want hot water to get into the cavity of the turkey and cook him from the inside out. So it's best if you don't gut him, but if you have to, it works. You just have to do it a little bit quicker. But what I like to do is hang him up. The first thing I want to do is start cutting his wings. Now what I do first is I go all the way down the wing butt to the very edge of his wing, which is not really the elbow, but which is what we call the wrist. This is the elbow of the turkey. This is basically the wing part or the muscle part. And this is what I call the wrist, the very end of his wing. And that's where I cut it. I'll reach in there, break it off at the joint, and cut it off. That eliminates his flight feathers, which are the very end feathers of the turkey's wing. Those are very tough and very strong feathers, and a lot of people use them. So if you know somebody that's a natural archery shooter or who builds their own arrows, those are great feathers and they'll appreciate you giving them to them. But cut that wing off right at that butt right there at the wrist. Do it on both sides. Once you get that butt cut off or that tip of that wing cut off, reach up and start grabbing these feathers here, which are I call them the secondary feathers, secondary flight feathers. The top tip ones are the primaries. And just start pulling them off one at a time. If you pull them off backwards, instead of trying to pull them down, they'll come off much easier. And what this does is these feathers are prone to want to stay in there. Plus it gives you more room when you're going to put your turkey in the ice chest. Once you get the feathers off of there, I like to go ahead and take the fan off as well, and the beard. Cut the fan off, like we said earlier. If you reach up there in the very butt of the fan and feel where the butt of the fan meets the body, there'll be a void, or you'll feel it'll be fat and then it'll squeeze down to nothing. That's the pivot point of a turkey's fan. If you watch turkeys when they strut, they'll turn their fan without turning their body. You cut it off right there. And then you reach over to the front end and you cut off the beard. Now that you got your turkey clean, just let him hang. Everything's ready to go. Leave the head and the feet on the turkey, because those are the 2 things that you're going to use for handles when you're dipping him in water and dipping him and hanging him after you dip him. Once you get your water up to boil, the one thing you want to have, and one of the most important things you want to have, is a good ice chest. And what I do is I tuck his head, I bend his legs back to where they're under his body, and I stuff him in the ice chest. Once I get him in the ice chest, I take my water right as it's coming to a boiling point. I shut my fire off and I pour that water in the ice chest over the top of that turkey. Once I get all the water poured in, I shut the ice chest and I start shaking that ice chest. I want to agitate that turkey like if he was in a washing machine and just shake him and shake him. I shake him for about a minute to a minute and a half. open it up and I'll start feeling. I'll reach up and grab some breast feathers. If they're not coming off really easy, I'll shut the ice chest and I'll shake it a little bit more. You don't want to leave him in this water too long because he will start to cook from the inside out, especially if he's gutted. Once you get it shook up really good and it feels like the feathers are coming off, grab him by his feet, pull him out of the hot water, let some water drain, and hang him back up where you had him earlier. Once you get him hung up, just start raking him with your fingers and start pulling the feathers. They come off really, really easy. But I'll be honest with you, if you just take your time, you're looking at about 10 minutes of work to pluck an entire wild turkey. Once you get him all plucked, the other ingredients that you have to have that is most important than the hot water is a 5-gallon bucket or another ice chest sitting next to you with cold ice water in it. Once you get that turkey cleaned off and all the feathers are taken off of him, set him in that cold water with ice in it, shut the ice chest, and just leave him in there. You can leave him in there until the ice turns to water. And once you feel like he's cooled off enough, sometimes 15 to 30 minutes, depending on how long you had to leave him in the hot water. I do know this, a lot of our turkeys here in the South, they pluck a lot easier than turkeys up north, especially Merriam's and turkeys in colder climates. Our turkeys don't have the down that those turkeys have on them, so it's a little bit quicker here. So if you have to leave him in the water a little bit longer, let him soak a little bit longer. As long as he's in that ice water, it really doesn't matter. Once you get him out, take him out of the ice water, let him drain, hang him on your hanger or set him on a table. Next thing you want to do is cut his head off. That handle's no longer needed, and then you cut his legs off. Keep the spurs for everybody that likes to keep it, but one thing you want to pay close attention to is in the front of the turkey. Turkeys have a craw. It's where they keep their food that they swallow. It stays in that craw. So what you want to do is go up the neck, the very bottom of the throat, and split him all the way up almost to his breastbone and open him up. I've already taken this one out, but once you open him up, you'll see a balloon sac that sits in there. That is the turkey's craw. And what you do is grab that sac and you pull it out, and it'll be a membrane all the way around. It'll look like one big balloon. And you just pull that craw out, make sure you get it all out. You'll see grass and clover and seeds. Sometimes you'll even see bugs. We killed one in Florida one time. We opened his craw up and he had a crawfish in it. There was a picture that I saw one time, and just goes to show you what turkeys eat. It was in the NWTF magazine. It was a turkey that was killed in Florida. It was an Osceola, and he had a jigging pig in his craw, a 3-inch jigging pig with the hook still in it. So he swallowed a whole jigging pig. I'm guessing the jigging pig was hanging on a limb somewhere and the water had went down and he reached and grabbed it. But what you want to do is pull the craw out. Once you pull the craw out and everything's cleaned out, take the turkey, wash him out, get him cleaned up, let him dry out. You can wrap him up. You can vacuum pack him. Me personally, I like to go ahead and vacuum pack them, or I like to go ahead and wrap them in some paper or some cellophane, and I freeze them. They make great table fare because you're not losing anything. The key thing about it is most people like to fry the wild turkey. Make sure your wild turkey's dry before you put him in the frying in the grease. Here's one thing I will say: a lot of people that truly just cut the breast meat out, I don't consider them waste and whatnot. I know there's a lot of times where you're in a hurry or you're traveling and you're out of town and you really don't have time to pluck or nowhere to put a whole turkey. I get that, but there's so much meat in these legs and thighs and in the back of a wild turkey. And they're such a majestic bird and they're such a great bird. For me, I like to give them the benefit of the doubt and use the whole bird. Especially for you guys that have a fall turkey season, it beats going to the store and buying a tame turkey that you don't even know where he came from and you don't know what he's eating. So this right here, I consider it to be the other white meat. It's all natural. In today's world of everybody trying to eat healthy, there's nothing better than the wild turkey.